Hey, Zach here from Frontenac Outfitters Canoe and Kayak Center. Today we're going to talk about storing your boat over the winter. Some of us will paddle year round when we can. Some of us, the season's over. It's snowing here in South Frontenac, so that's going to be a wrap up for a lot of people if you haven't put your boat away already. Some things to consider, whether you're storing your boat outside or inside, we'll give you some tips and tricks on what to do with that. Storing your boat outside, it's not a big deal. You can totally do it. A lot of people are kind of fearful. I would say indoor storage is most ideal if you can, but you know, canoes, they're not small, so that option isn't always available for everyone. So you can leave your boat outside, no problem. Some things you want to consider is where you're putting that canoe. Avoid putting it, under a big overhang above a roof where there's potentially ice could fall down. You want to be mindful of any trees that are over top. If you get a big windstorm like we had the other night, you could get some branches coming down. God forbid a tree comes down and crushes your canoe, because we do not want to see that happen. We get lots of questions about, should I wrap my boat? Yes and no. Generally the consensus is you want to kind of loosely wrap it, whether you're using a tarp or something similarly, but you want to be able to breathe. You don't want to be trapping moisture inside of there and causing moisture problems with the wood or in the system, the epoxy systems and stuff like that. So be really careful with how you're wrapping it, but loosely draping a tarp or something over top of it to just help shed any snow load is generally the best way to go. You can use some small pieces of foam or something to create a little bit of space between the boat and the tarp itself, and that way you don't have to worry so much about it. Weigh the tarp down with something, obviously, so it doesn't blow away on you, but it still allows a little bit of airflow to get in and out. If you're storing your canoe inside, that's the best choice. You're going to want to put it upside down, whether it's inside or outside. That way you're going to avoid any debris, snow buildup, anything like that getting in it. Avoid storing the boat on the ground. It's just going to get filled up with mud, get stick in there, and just be an absolute mess. Rodents, mice are always a concern. Generally they're not too bad with canoes, but there's, if you've got web seating, mice love to chew on that type of stuff. So avoid areas if you can, barns and stuff like that. That might seem like an ideal location. Just be mindful of that and maybe use some anti-rodent stuff. Mothballs can work really good. Maybe put a piece of cardboard in there above the seat, some mothball packages on top of that just to help kind of, keep any mice away. I hear bounce sheets can work as well. If you got a kayak, you can tuck some of those inside. I'm not going to promote saying that they work, but your mileage may vary, so please feel free to try it out. Anything's better than coming into the spring and finding that your canoe seat or your kayak seat's been chewed up by a mouse. So keeping your kayak safe for the winter, same deal as the canoe. Be careful of snow loads, stuff falling on it from the trees above. Wrapping or unwrapping, well, again, just be mindful of getting any moisture trapped inside of there to prevent any mildew or mold growth. What you can do to prep your boat is apply some 303 or Armor All to your hatches to keep them nice and supple. And most manufacturers are going to recommend that you actually store it with the hatches off. So remove the hatches, just kind of tuck them inside of the boat there. That way you don't have to worry about any mold growth on the inside of the kayak. Because if it's not bone dry in there, you will stand a chance of getting some mold or mildew kind of build up inside of there, and you don't want that. Cockpit covers, again, a nice breathable style cover on top of here will help keep any rodents or critters, insects and bugs out of the side of there. You can get wall storage, a J-hoop style, and you can use those either in a garage or on, say, the side of the house or a fence. And again, you can kind of drape a tarp over top of it. This guy here, this is the Delta. It is wrapped from the factory, so you can always store it inside of a Delta wrap. That's a good way to do it. We have tons of this stuff, so if you're looking for any, just swing by the shop, and generally we've got a bit on hand. Maybe give us a call ahead of time if you want some of this bubble wrap to slide your boat back into, to tuck it away for the winter. But same principles are going to apply. Make sure it's bone dry, slide it inside, hatch covers off, maybe a cockpit cover on there just to keep any rodents from potentially chewing away at your seat. I don't think there's a big difference between storing inside or outside. Lots of people store outside. I would say inside's going to be the best and safest for theft prevention, rodents, the elements. You're going to get just a little bit more protection if you have the room to store it inside. But if you don't fret. It'll be fine. So another option we can look at here for indoor storage, or could potentially work outdoors if you got an overhang to hang it from, is the Malone kayak hammock. Going to clear up a lot of wall space if you've got a higher roof. It doesn't have to be, typical garage height is going to be just excellent. This is going to get it up off the ground and safely secured, up nice and tall there. Has an automatic braking system in it, so you don't need to necessarily worry about it dropping down. Your excess rope just goes onto a wall anchor here, and you're good to go. So some interior mounting solutions, we've got the kayak hammock from Malone, which we just showed you, and then for some wall space applications, there's the J-cradle style systems. There's a folding version and there's a non-folding version as well. And you can check these guys out on the website. The link will be in the description. All right, and lastly, we're going to look at storing your stand-up paddleboards. Pretty easy to do. If you can stand them up, awesome. Obviously, being pretty tall, I don't know if a lot of people's garages are going to be able to accommodate standing up a paddleboard. The biggest thing you're going to want to be mindful of, especially if you've got an epoxy board, is any scratches or chips. So make sure you have something laid out on the floor if you're going to lean it on the floor. I would suggest, just because of the fragility of an epoxy style board, is to get a couple of J-style holders and get them up off the ground, out of the way, so that you don't accidentally knock into them, you know, bringing in the snowblower or something silly and puncturing a hole in it in the off season, because that's not what we want to do. But yeah, really simple. Generally, SUP boards are going to be small enough you can probably get them into a shed or a garage fairly easily, but same principles apply. If you need to store it outside, that's fine. If you did sustain any damage to your board, though, and you think there might be water inside the board, I would not suggest leaving it out, because you do not want that water to freeze up inside. I would get it addressed as soon as you can. Get it to a repair tech to have a look at. Make sure that board is going to be nice and dry and safe to store over the winter. So thanks for watching. All these products will be linked in the descriptions below. You can check out our storage solutions for any more ideas. If you have any questions, feel free to give us a shout or send us an email. Check us out at frontnacoutfitters.com. Thanks for watching.